Man, I really, really hate it. I literally now have to pay for the pipes. It's costing me about 7,000. If I knew I could do this for like 16 or 1,700 dirhams, I'm paying literally 7,000 for the repairs. Dude, 7,000.
Many people complain so much, and they complain about developers. And to be honest, developers are innocent to a certain extent with this.
Anyways, let's get started. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Straight Talk with your host Firas Al-Masadi. Today I'm going to share with you how many real estate investors, in particular those who take handover of their properties in Dubai, lose so much money without even knowing why or why to actually deal with it. Omar, thank you very much for joining. I insisted that Omar shares his real life experience with all of you guys, because I know it will enlighten many of you on how to deal with this situation.
Thanks,
Omar, thank you for joining.
I appreciate it. So listen, handover, that specifically, used to publish things about snagging, inspection, and it really didn't register with me. And I never really understood the importance. And this is me being 100% genuine right now. Never really understood the importance of it until I actually invested in property and it was time to take the unit or receive the unit, the handover aspect from the developer. One of the most reputable developers around, by the way. Classified as very prestigious, very upscale type of developer.
So they called you and they said, come receive your key.
Correct. So went there, did the full-on inspection, and listen, generally we looked around the surface.
By the way, just to make it so clear, I don't blame developers so much for it, by the way. I think the responsibility falls on landlords more, because the option is there.
Right.
You know, the solution is there, and developers are allowing you to use it freely.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Not a lot of people know about this, and I do appreciate you putting out this content to help others avoid maybe falling in the same problems that I did. But initially, walking into the unit, looked around, everything looked great, but when you look closely, you realize that there's a hinge on the drawer that didn't shut properly, there's a little scratch there, there were some paint things that had to be touched up, and we're talking about little simple minor touch-up things. So there was a list of about 6 or 7 things that needed to be done, and they were done.
So at the time of taking your key handover, they get you to write all these snags,
signed off on
snag lists.
They wanted us to sign off. I did the inspection. I said, no, I'll sign off once this is all done. They did everything. The issue, the main problem started once I moved in, literally within a couple of weeks. And the leaks started happening. One thing that I didn't look into is what's going on behind the walls, what's going on above the ceilings, because you don't see it. And so that's where a lot of the issues started happening. And I've got a lot of the pictures and videos that we're sharing now in this video. But leaks, non-stop leaks would occur in the same place over and over, and they would come and repair, and they would still leak in the same place. Obviously, I would have other leaks in other areas, other bathroom, kitchens, and so on and so forth.
I think you were just really unfortunate with this, because I mean, you do get problems, but not this size of problems with everyone.
Right, believe it or not, I actually went without air conditioning for about 4 months in the summer. So I took handover of this property.
In the summer?
Yes.
So you were not living there then?
No. So just over a year ago, when I moved in, I took delivery of the unit, moved in, and the AC actually broke down for about 4 months. The developer actually brought one of those, coolers, standalone ACs that you fill with water, and it was just really annoying. And I'm thinking, we've paid so much money for this luxury unit, and you've got a standalone AC. You can't even use the air conditioning. Yeah. So a lot of issues like this actually happened, and I started to relate back to the videos that you would make and say, I wish I would have actually done this inspection. The biggest problem now that I'm facing is this. I've rented out that unit to a tenant. The warranty that comes with it for about a year is over, and now I'm facing issues with leakage in the property that I'm actually having to pay out of pocket.
Okay, so the solution is, of course, when you're called by the developer to go and to receive your key handover, you have to go with an engineer. You have to go with someone who's well equipped and experienced enough to actually use special tools like thermographic imaging to understand what's behind the wall. Is there any leakage? Where the leakage coming from? What's is the airflow from the AC is correct? Is the water pressure is correct? The water heater. So when it comes to villas, they check the temperature of the swimming pool, the water pump. There's just so many aspects. I think some of the snagging that we've done for villas in Dubai, I think it was probably around 300 pages.
Wow.
So you'll get a book like this with 300 pages. So that will really allow you to be very well organized and to hand that book to a developer and say, Mr. Developer, please fix it. Now, developers don't mind this much because at the end of the day, they have what's so-called defect liability period from the contractor who built and who constructed the building or the asset for them. And of course, all they have to do is to take that book and to give it to the contractor.
Sorry, can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
That's actually very interesting that you mentioned, because I wasn't aware of this, right? So you have the real estate buyer, the consumer, myself, and then you've also got the developer, but then you have the contractor.
Yeah.
And that's something I wasn't aware of. I always assumed the developer was the developer or the contractor, and that was it. So what made it even more difficult is when I would communicate with the developer, they would always blame things on a contractor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's a contractor?
But you see, many people, when you're not well organized and when you do things on ad hoc basis and every now and then you actually tell them there's a problem or there's a problem, something just showed up now,
right,
then it's difficult for you and for them to follow up with the contractor. But if from day one you give them a book, it's recorded, it's registered, even God forbid you need to go legal at some point of time, you have everything well documented with the developer, and the developer has everything well documented with the contractor. Now, to be honest, from our experience, large developers, I mean, I would say Emaar is an amazing developer. They're extremely well organized. Miras, Dubai Properties, they're all very well organized in terms of their communication, whether with the clients or with their contractors. So out of our experience, you face this with smaller developers, with developers who don't have specialized handover team because they don't have enough properties to do that probably. But I mean, again, these issues happen even if you are doing your own villa.
Right.
So make no mistake about it. This is not just about the developer. You know, even, I mean, I'm building my own villa now. I did the decoration of my own offices and headquarters in Business Bay, and we had to deal with a lot of snagging once contractors left the site, right? So these things will always happen, and I think this has to be an integral part of the process of taking handover.
Well, listen, that's definitely something that I know now. I wish I would have known more about it. Unfortunately, that 1 year period that I have is up, and I'm facing issues. There's been a couple of recent leaks, and they're actually major leaks. So
Trust
the one
me,
thing that I've
you're
learned,
kind of lucky because you're living in the property. If the property
well,
is
not now, it's
purely
rented. That's what I'm saying. I've rented it out.
Oh, okay.
I actually left it because of the headache of the repair guys coming in every day, and I thought I had got it up to standard.
Did you just set up
rented it
your
out.
tenants?
Right. So now, I mean, this poor lady who's actually paid, quite a decent amount for the rent. To be honest with you, she's now dealing with the leaks, and it's becoming a headache for her. And these guys are coming in every time. I actually went a few days ago to double check what was done, and I actually, for the first time, looked with my own eyes at the repairs, and I realized that the same pipe that has been broken over and over, what they keep doing to it is they keep patching,
sealing it. Yeah.
They keep resealing with melted plastic. And it really, really
See, when you do
me.
engineered snagging and inspection, they come, they give you this report, and you can get the same exact engineer to check everything for you.
Right.
You know, to make sure that everything is been repaired well. And I think, I mean, if you go to mature markets, having what they call a surveyor, a professional surveyor, this is like, it goes without saying. If you want to buy a used property, you have to get a surveyor to actually check everything and to make sure that the property is fit.
Well, here's the part that really upset me. Because the repairs on these units are going to take a few days, they've actually asked to shut down all the water. The tenant was telling me she can't live. I don't blame her. She can't live without water for 4 days. So I'm now actually I didn't even know. I legally have to put her up in a hotel or make up for that rent,
definitely,
I guess, at the end. So this is something that really, really bothered me.
So the walk away from this, investors, real estate investors, when you're about to take handover of your property, don't do it yourself and don't get an agent to do it, because also agents contribute to this,
Right.
This is how we started this engineered snagging inspection at FAM Properties, because literally I realized that almost every agent in town tells landlords that yes, I can take handover of your property. They go, they do what you just did. You look everything, is there any scratch? You report the scratches, they paint the scratches, and then that's it.
Right.
But then once you place a tenant or you move in yourself, you're going to start discovering many ad hoc problems,
right,
which can become a massive headache, depending on how major. Now, is this the situation of every single property in Dubai? No, of course not. It can be very major for some, it can be minor for some, and some may not experience much as well.
So very quickly, for my next purchase, if that ever happens, hopefully it'll happen soon, how much you guys charge for the service?
It depends on the type of the property as well. So if the property is really luxury, then we have to be ultra careful, checking so many extra points and fine inches. So that's obviously more expensive than checking like a plain straightforward apartment. But we charge per square foot. And I think the average is around 1.5 dirhams or 2 dirhams per square foot.
Okay, that's actually not bad at all. So for a unit like the one I told you about, is about 900 square feet. That would be about, what, around 1,700?
Yeah, so around 1,500 to 2,000 dirhams. And I think it's really nothing to protect your investment and have a peace of mind. It's so frustrating to try and talk to the developer and say, I reported this problem now, and my tenant reported that problem in that day, and then my cousin and the agent reported problems. You need to be very well organized. And I think it just ticks all the boxes to get someone specialist to do this for you.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is a unit that costed about 1 million dirhams.
And by the way, when I said that we do it at Fan Properties, we have a standalone license, with a team of engineers and architects who actually conduct these inspections. And we've done in all over Dubai. We've done from the most luxurious projects such as Bulgari, City Walk, Mohammed bin Rashid City Villas, obviously many projects in downtown Business Bay, all the way to mid-range properties in Business Bay or in Jumeirah Village. And here we come to the end of today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. Feel free to circulate it and share with your friends and contacts. If you have any questions related to taking handover of your properties in Dubai, or even if you want to place any inquiries related to that or to conducting an engineered snagging and inspection job at your property, feel free to connect with us. I left the details of the website and of the company below. Make sure you protect your investment, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay tuned.